In this section, I want to talk about probably one of the most popular hand drums out there. And the reason I say that is because I find the African djembe everywhere. And you see a lot of hobbyists playing them. You see them down at the beach, around the campfires, the local campgrounds, and of course in musical settings. But I believe that the reason that this drum is so popular is because it's actually quite easy to play right off the bat. Okay, you can generate sounds from this drum quite easily. They're easy to carry around, and they're not that expensive. You know, roughly, I'm just going to throw a number out there, $200 to $300 for a good djembe, you know, say Canadian or US dollar. And that's roughly what I would spend. And you can get a beautiful instrument for that kind of money. With the djembe drum, they come in different sizes. You can get quite small, you know, 8-inch, 10-inch, 12. This is a 13. I like the 12, 13, 14s because you get a nice big bass tone out of it. So the djembe drum is definitely one of the most common and fun to play instruments. And you can take it to so many musical settings and just have a great time with it. Okay, so what we're going to start off with is some of the tones, and very similar to the conga techniques, but with the sounds of these drums, like I said, it's so much easier to get a tone from the drum, and once again, the bigger the drum, the bigger the bass tone. And I'm going to show you the bass tone, which is hitting my hand directly on the center of the head, and releasing my hand right away for a big open bass tone. Okay, here it is. Okay, so you can see that that really generates a nice big sound with this big drum, okay? The next tone I'm going to show you is the open tone, okay? And what I do with this drum, it's a single drum, only one drum. So I make the triangle in the middle of my hands there, pull my hands back until my thumbs relax on the side of the edge of the head there. And this is a great starting point for me to generate a really nice sound for an open tone, okay? So I'm going to remove my left hand. Open tone is striking the drum and getting your hand right off the drum immediately. Here it is. And be sure to practice with both hands, okay? And the next tone I want to show you is the closed tone, okay? Actually, it'll be the closed tone, which is keeping your hand right down on the drum. And the last tone that I want to show you is the slap, okay? The open slap and the closed slap. So the open slap coming down on the side of the drum and slapping the drum kind of like you're slapping a mosquito off the drum head, something like this. So that was the open slap, and now the closed slap, or the muffled slap, is slapping the drum but keeping your hand down on the drum. So a little bit more force going into the slaps, okay? So those are the main tones that you can get from this drum, you know, and I'll do some demonstrating in a little bit here how we can incorporate all those tones. But there's so many different patterns that we can create with this instrument, and one person that I want to pay tribute to is a djembe, African djembe master named Babatunde Olatunji. Look him up. He passed back in 2003, but in my opinion, he was like, you know, the Buddy Rich of djembe drum, just an absolute master of the instrument. And Baba, as they called him, had a counting verbal counting system that I want to share with you today that I learned from an African teacher many years ago. And it's wonderful because you don't even need to learn how to count. It's a matter of vocalizing the tone, okay? And what he had was he had for the right hand bass tone was the word gun, okay? G-U-H-N, or I've also seen it as G-U-N, G-U-H-N, which is gun, gun, gun. Left hand bass tone was dun, D-U-N, or I've also seen it as D-U-H-N, dun, dun. So right off the bat, just as a simple example, I could go gun, dun, and create a rhythm just by saying those two words. Gun, dun, something like this. Gun, dun, okay? For his open tones, he had the right hand open tone was go, G-O, go, and the left hand was do, D-O-H, okay? So you had go and do. So far we've got gun, dun, go, do. So I'll make something up here. Gun, dun, go, do. Gun, dun, go, do. So right off the bat, you guys can start creating little rhythms just by saying them and then trying to replicate them using those tones. And his slap tones were the word pa for the right hand slap and ta for the left hand slap. Pa, ta. So here we got gun, dun, go, do, pa, ta. So that was his system of verbal counting and verbalizing, playing the djembe drum. Gun, go, do, pa, ta, gun, dun, go, do, pa, ta. Okay? So we'll talk about the pattern in this in a little bit, but that's a good one to remember. So gun, dun, go, do, and then the slaps, pa, ta. So that's a big one in the world of djembe drumming. Okay, so a couple things I'll show you here that I like to do that were just little things that I had adventured with when I started playing a lot of djembe with some bands, was trying to create, you know, rolls. And of course I would use fingers. I'd bring, you know, use conga techniques and bring my fingers into play by playing finger rolls like this. And something else I may have seen someone do at one time was a sort of a finger and a thumb roll. Let me play it for you, then I'll show you what I'm doing here. And what I'm doing there is the side of my thumb and my ring finger of my right hand, do it with left hand as well, is I'm just rotating my wrist back and forth like this. I'm kind of getting my ring finger down so it strikes the drum, coming and striking the drum with the ring finger, coming back with the thumb, something like this. If you can do it with other fingers, try it, but I found that it was the easiest for me to use the thumb and the second finger from the pinky there. So that's a little thumb and finger roll, which was lots of fun to do that. I should probably talk about how to hold this instrument if you don't have a stand. I'm lucky enough to have a big sturdy stand, because mainly when I play djembe, I've got something else next to me. I might have my conga drums or a drum set or cajon or something like that, and I need to have the drum off the ground. The thing is, if the drum is just sitting flat on the ground, because the only hole in the djembe is at the bottom of the drum, it's basically a coffee table. It doesn't have much tone to it. The sound has to escape through the bottom of the drum, so you do need to lift it off the ground. Okay. Now let me show you this, guys. I'll grab one of my other djembes here. If I don't have a stand, okay, like I said, if it's just sitting flat on the ground like that, for one, it's very difficult to play because I'm sitting pretty high, but I need to be able to play this thing. So you always want to have the drum tilted away from you. You know, I see a lot of djembe drummers where they're playing it like this, and I've never understood it, almost like a steering wheel, because if I want to get to those tones, you'll even notice how this one's angled away from me, right? If I want to get to those tones up here, I don't want to be playing like that, right? So you want to have the drum tilted away from you. Okay, now this drum is pretty heavy, so I wouldn't be able to just hold it and play because I need my hands. So what I've done in the past is I'll put my feet together and try to get it resting on the side of my shoes and then snug it up with my knees and now I can hold the drum. You know, and generally that works pretty good, you know, when I'm playing and it's tilted away from me enough. If you can find a way to get it off the ground. I've seen some people just put it, you know, cross their feet like that and then have the drum angled. That works too. Whatever works, but you might get tired after a while. This way would get me tired. I'm already feeling it in the side of my legs, or, you know, holding this drum up, it's pretty heavy, and then being able to play that. But you got to make sure you get it off the ground and make sure it's tilted away from you and not towards you, because it'll just make your life really, really challenging. Flat is okay if you're not sitting too high or too low, but like I said, you can see a bit of an angle going down like that when I play that. So anyways, that's pretty much the essentials of djembe drumming, like all those different patterns, and of course Baba's method of counting and that. So let's take a look at some patterns on the djembe drum.